Very pleased to welcome to the program Mr. Ted Nugent. How you doing tonight, Ted?
Greetings, Cam. Thank you for mentioning the words "don't miss" and Ted Nugent in the same sentence, because I try not to miss. Greetings to you, a ballistically coefficient salute, and happy springtime turkey season and bear season coming up to you, Cam, and all my NRA blood brothers across the land.
Yes, sir. Well, I've already told folks how to contact us tonight. 1-866-NRA News, 866-672-6397 is the number to call. Ted, let's just get started here with the big story that happened on late Friday night. A budget agreement reached, apparently, to fund the government for 6 more days. They'll get back to it, I guess, this week and try to get a long-term budget. What's your thoughts on how this all shook out Friday night?
Okay, Cam, I'll go there. I'll play Comedy Central with you. Let's put it this way. I was just talking to my buddy here, Calvin Ross of Lone Star Music, where the boys are in town. We're rehearsing. There's fire and energy and bombs going off of guitar necks and drums. We're really giddy. And we just had a little powwow after cooking up some good fish on the grill. And I explained it like this, and I think everyone will grasp this. And for those who already know this, I apologize for the redundancy and the obvious. But here it goes, Cam. Okay, let's pretend I'm the rock and roll manager. And, Cam, you're my rock and roll star. You're the artist.
All right.
Okay, Cam, I've got a tour here for you, and we're going to make $1 million. And because I'm a good manager, a very rare manager, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that, unfortunately, you're going to make $1 million, but it's going to cost you $2.5 million to do it. But, Cam, don't worry. I got a buddy at the bank that will loan you not only enough money to cover the losses, but go ahead and name a price that you'd like to get paid, and I'll just raise the debt ceiling. You with me? So we'll pay you anything you want. You want to make $100,000 a week? No problem, Cam. We're just, and Cam, of course, would say, but Mr. Manager, I thought you just said I'm only going to make $1 million, but it's going to cost me $2.5 million for the buses and the trucks and the lights and the staging and the crew and the band and all the transportation, the per diems and the salaries and the insurance. And I go, yes, Cam, but don't worry about it. We'll just take out a loan. And then, of course, Cam would say, but Mr. Manager, when you guys all go home with all your payments and everybody gets paid, even I will get paid, but now somehow I'm going to have to pay the bank all that loss and the amount I paid myself. Cam, you just go have another beer and you relax, young man, because we'll just raise the debt ceiling. And don't worry about it, because we'll just keep taking loans forever. And then someday you'll die and your kids will have to pay it back. How am I doing?
I think you're doing really well. I think there are actually a number of bands who are nodding their heads in agreement with you.
Yes, indeed. Not me. I got to tell you, you have to be only one of two things to allow this to happen to the United States of America citizens. Either mentally deranged to the point of clueless ineptitude, or what I believe is the real curse going on, these sons of bitches don't give a damn. They don't care who's going to get saddled with this debt, because they got their pensions, Cam. They got all their expenses paid, Cam. They got their drivers paid, Cam. They got their armed security detail paid for, Cam. I'm telling you, the level of corruption and abuse of power in this country is at an all-time high. And my friends on Cam and Company and NRA News right now, and I have a lot of blood brothers there, talk back from TedNugent.com and people from every walk of life. I feel a kinship with our listeners, Cam. But if we, the people, don't increase our hell-raising to our elected officials and demand accountability, demand living within our means, demand stop taking out loans to pay for programs and policies that no one can justify. None of these bureaucrats, and even Boehner and the Republicans, I want to say God bless them, but I don't think bless was the proper postfix. These bureaucrats are so out of control. They are so used to running their power abuse with impunity and no accountability that this is how it's become. They think that somehow Cam the artist will accept this new budget because instead of losing $1.5 million, you'll only have to lose $1.3 million.
Mm-hmm.
And we, the people, better tell our elected officials we demand the elimination of all those wasteful, redundant, counterproductive programs, which I believe, Cam, at this point represents the identity I just gave, those tax-wasting programs. I believe we could cut 80 to 90% of what goes on in our government, and we'd still be able to accomplish what our government is supposed to accomplish in securing our borders, fighting evil and protecting the United States of America, and making sure that our military and our defense network is so supreme to anyone else in the world that they wouldn't dare tread on us, not to be confused with the current policy of exit strategies instead of victory strategies. So I could go on and on and on, but you get the point. None of these statements I've made can really be called opinion. I have studied the research. I have studied the statistics. I have spoke with good elected officials, particularly those who were voted in November of 2010, typically a Tea Party candidate who understands that the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights, should be the screening process by which any decision our government ever makes. And right now, I would bet you, Cam Edwards, today is Monday, April 10th. Is that right?
The 11th.
April 11th, 2011. I, Ted Nugent, bet you that if we really held every program and every bureaucracy in this country and every expenditure in this country to the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights screening test, we could eliminate 90% of the bloated, gluttonous, slovenly, criminal, irresponsible, unaccountable bureaucrat toilet that is currently the United States of America government. That's what I believe.
Mr. Ted Nugent, ladies and gentlemen. 1-866-NRA News, 866-672-6397. I do have one bit of good news for you, Ted.
Oh, there's a lot of good news, by the way.
Well, here's a little one. There's a new poll out, Wall Street Journal, NBC, shows that, are you ready for this? Among Tea Party supporters, over 80% of them say don't raise the debt ceiling. Among GOP voters who don't identify as Tea Party supporters, 68 said don't raise the debt ceiling.
Hallelujah.
Independent voters, 71% said don't raise the debt ceiling.
Oh, so you're telling me the author of Wango Tango does not stand alone?
And even 45% of the Democrats that were surveyed, Ted, said don't raise the debt ceiling.
That is good. Wall Street Journal and NBC, that's even more encouraging from those 2 points because though I trust often the Wall Street Journal, I never trust NBC. But a lot of times, like we've seen a lot of the polls over the years where they've asked whether the American citizenry believes that the Second Amendment might be a guarantee of a God-given individual right to keep and bear arms. I think it's something like 99.999% of people go, duh. So that is encouraging. And Cam, my point, the reason I get so emotional, I know I could burst through the phone because I so believe in common sense, logic, truth, what we call the American way, that it does not surprise me that 80% of the Tea Party and 68% of the Republicans and 71% of independents and even almost half of Democrats see the glaring evidence that what the Tea Party's battle cry is so righteous. We want accountability from our elected officials who are our employees. Anyone that argues against that, Charlie Rangel, is an enemy of America.
All right, let's go to the phones, Ted. 1-866-NRA News, 866-672-6397. Let's see. Rick is in Maine this evening. How you doing, Rick?
Greetings, Rick. God bless the wilds of Maine, sir.
How are you, Mr. Ted? Good to meet you. Good to talk with you again this evening. I got a proposition for you. Well, it's kind of a situation with the government here. I've been kind of tossing this idea back and forth. Uh-oh. Hello?
Yeah, go for
it.
No,
I still got you. Go ahead, Rick.
Okay, you still got me? Okay, good. Thought I lost you there for a minute. We, the taxpayers, pay the government to pay for certain programs. Why not eliminate the government completely? Go to pay our money in taxes to our state levels, number one, and have the state turn around and pay for the programs that we need in each state. But on top of that, turning around and completely eliminating the so-called middleman, the federal government, and kicking them out.
Well, Rick,
how's that sound to you?
I think, Rick, you're not off track, though you must be a little bit cautious there, because the pendulum has swung so far to the left. There's such entrenched waste. Bureaucrats operate with impunity because we, the people, have not monitored them and not held them accountable. We cannot let the pendulum swing so far the other way that we abandon the basic premise of one nation under God, where we all have the right to pursue happiness as outlined in the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and all those pillars that are uniquely American. But we do need a federal government for our national security, for the security of our borders, to maintain the killer U.S. military hero warrior brigade that they currently have. That's the only thing that the federal government does properly as far as I'm concerned. So, Rick, you are echoing the sentiments of a lot of Americans right now. I don't want to eliminate the federal government, but we want to drastically curtail it and rein it back in. And you're correct, too, Rick, especially up there in the great Northeast in the state of Maine, where Wayne Boskowitz, my good friend and blood brother, Foggy Mountain Outfitters, and all my hunting buddies up there and all my NRA buddies up in the Northeast, we want to rein in Fedzilla, and we want to give more rights back to the states. So I think that's the best way to go without eliminating the overview of what is nationalism in the United States of America.
All right. Hey, Ted, let's take a question from our Facebook page. Clinton writes in, he says, Uncle Ted, as an 18-year-old gun and freedom enthusiast, I would like to hear your thoughts on the outrage that I, as an American citizen, cannot own a handgun in the state of Pennsylvania and therefore am not as able to defend myself. Looking forward to seeing you at the convention in Pittsburgh and watching you and your band play in Morgantown, West Virginia.
Yes, indeed, Clinton. Thank you for that. Yeah, well, I've always said that, Cam, that we have all stated that the defining moment of an American citizen becoming an adult is when they reach the age of 18, and certainly the fact that they can defend this country and they're unleashed to stand up and put their lives on the line for this country. I would like to meet the punk who would tell an 18-year-old in America that you can go to battle for this country, but you have limited rights otherwise. You can vote, you can lay your life down in protection of this great nation, but you're not allowed a Second Amendment right. You're not allowed to do the things that other adults can do, but you can do those most serious of endeavors. So I'm with Clinton 100%. Let me ask, I have Calvin here. Calvin, can an 18-year-old purchase a handgun in Texas, or has it got to be 21? See, even in Texas, you got to be 21. I wonder, Cam, you must know. You're my gunny guru. Is there a state in the nation? I would bet you it's probably someplace like South Dakota. But is there any state in the nation where someone under 21 can purchase and own a handgun?
That is a really good question. There are some states, I believe, where you can own. In fact, Texas, I think, is one of those where you can own, but you can't purchase.
That's right.
Handgun.
Texas, you can own it, but you have to have an adult purchase it for you, I believe.
And in fact, I think the NRA's got a lawsuit. I know the NRA's got a lawsuit going on in Texas right now challenging that very law. So
that's great. Well, I'm with Clinton 100%, man. I got to tell you, if you can lay your life down for this country, you certainly have every right afforded an adult in this country. And I think we all need to fight for that in every state we live in.
Absolutely. One more comment from Facebook. Damien says, Ted, my soul brother of the wild, love all that you do. Wish I could be more like you. Thank you so much. Keep up the spirit. If you want to talk to Ted, 866 NRA News, 866-672-6397 is the number to call. You can send us a message on our Facebook page, ted@nranews.com. You can send us a tweet at twitter.com/NRA News. Ted, let's take our first time out here. We'll give you a couple of minutes to, not that you need to recharge. You sound at 100%
I'm fired
right
up.
now.
I'm fired up. I'm rocking, Cam.
All right, keep it right here. More with Ted Nugent when we come back to Cam and Company here on NRAnews.com and Sirius XM Patriot. Talking with Mr. Ted Nugent this hour at 1-866-NRA News, 866-672-6397 888-267-9797. Jay in Indianapolis, Ted, says Indiana allows ownership of handguns under the age of 21. There are still a few holdouts for liberty. And Jay also says, Ted, I know it's probably obvious to most listeners, but I would love to hear your comments on how the natural rights documented in the Second Amendment preserve the rest.
Well, Jay's got a great point there. We got Jim and Marilyn Brown down here at rehearsals. It's great to hear you play "Baby Please Don't Go" in the background. We're playing that song these days, and I swear to God, it's gonna be on stage. "Baby Please Don't Go" will probably last 40 minutes this year.
Nice.
Just keep jamming and jamming. But Jay is right. Jim and Marilyn Brown are here from Indiana, and they're both sheriff deputies up there. And he's got a trailer full of Class 3 fun guns here to make sure the barbecues are properly attended. But Jay's correct. Indiana is one of the great Second Amendment states. You can purchase over the Internet and get a lifetime concealed weapons permit. I don't know of many other states that have that, even though that we all know that the goal and the original vision of our founding fathers was that God gave each of us the individual right to keep and bear arms to defend our precious gift of life. We shouldn't need any government paper authorization. We shouldn't need a permit or a license for any of these God-given individual rights that is guaranteed in the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights. That is what we're going for. And even though Arizona and Wyoming, actually I think it's Arizona, Alaska, Vermont,
Wyoming?
It is Wyoming.
Yep.
That they have constitutional carry, but still there are some restrictions. And once again, we're working closely with the good Governor Perry. By the way, I'm a Texan. My governor shoots coyotes. I never want to fail to mention that in the city limits, by the way. We are pushing for constitutional carry here in Texas, and we believe it will become a reality soon. And it's going to be real constitutional carry. No limitations where you can carry, because there are no areas where anyone can guarantee you won't have to defend yourself from some paroled monster. And until we, hopefully in our lifetime, eliminate paroled monsters, and I do mean eliminate them, we shouldn't be restricted in certain zones and certain environments where we have our individual God-given right to keep and bear arms. Regarding Jay's request for my statement on how the Second Amendment protects all others, I really hope, and Cam, you can clarify this for me, any American, especially any NRA member, who is not seen and witnessed and glowed in the presence of Charlton Heston's various speeches regarding the might, the absolute might of the Second Amendment. I hope on the NRA's website, I know my good friend Keith Mark of McMillan River Outfitters, McMillan River Adventures on his television show on Outdoor Channel did a tribute to Charlton Heston where he played a bunch of the speeches. And I can only hope to, in my own way, exude the definitive statement by the great Charlton Heston that by any measure, that by any scrutiny, by any consideration, in the history of man, the documentation is irrefutable, that where those who get away with abusing power are not stopped from abusing the power, they will continue to abuse more power to the point throughout history where they have forced their subjects, no longer citizens, but tyrants and kings and emperors and despots and slave drivers and monsters and the Idi Amins and the kings and the pharaohs would take a subject's life at a whim. And the only way that they can take their subject's life is if they force their subjects into unarmed helplessness. And unarmed helplessness is the most irresponsible condition that a human being could ever allow himself to come to. And my battle cry for ultimate individual freedom is never, ever allow another human being, no matter what their credentials may indicate, ever force any other human being into unarmed helplessness. That's what the gun grabbers want. That's what the gun control people want. That is what Barack Obama and his minions and his czars and his administration want. That's what Charlie Schumer wants. That's what Barbara Boxer wants. That's what all these monsters want to do. And all I can tell you is if you're not a member of the NRA, then those that would take away your individual freedoms, they think you're all right. Because if you're not a member of the NRA, and I salute all the different gun groups, every state gun rights organization, the Gun Owners of America, the great work of Gun Owners of California, and the Second Amendment Foundation, the Citizen Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, they're all wonderful. The Pink Pistols, they all are wonderful. But NRA, the National Rifle Association, they're the big fist in the battle for individual freedoms in this country, and I pray to God that everybody out there is a member, that everybody makes sure that their family and friends and coworkers and neighbors and their buddies, their hunting buddies, make sure that everybody is a member. Membership in the NRA is the battle cry to stop those that are abusing power and those that would force Americans into unarmed helplessness, because unarmed helplessness is an irresponsible and dangerous condition.
Absolutely. And, if you do go to NRAnews.com, just click the speeches button, you can find a wealth of speeches from Charlton Heston there on our website. Yvonne, a.k.a. Wolf Gal on the Nuge board, writing in from Western PA tonight, says, I work in a rehab clinic where the staff is mostly in their 20s and 30s, and I have found out, sadly, that they pay more attention to Dancing with the Stars and Idol than to the state of affairs in America. I try to discuss the need to be involved, but they are a tough sell. Any suggestions?
Well, Yvonne, I love you madly. Wolfgal on my TedNugent.com talkback is a warrior. Our memberships are warriors. Just like I got to tell you, Cam, I salute those NRA members out there, because if ever there was the proper activism in America, if there's 100 people speaking out for our rights and tax reform and welfare reform and education reform, 99 of those 100 activists are NRA members. I salute you all. But Wolfgal does a great job, and she knows that there's only one word that is going to drive the upgrade that we need here in America, and that word is relentless. You must be relentless. You give the world the best you got, and you get kicked in the teeth. Give the world the best you got anyway, every day. Never give up, now more than ever. The resistance that Yvonne is referencing there, Cam, that you and I have discussed, and I'm sure you're constantly hammering away at, the resistance that we get from gun owners, let's make it real obvious and the most egregious violation of what our duty as we the people participants is supposed to be in America, the apathy in our own gun community, in our own hunting community, in the hunting families and the gun-owning families of this nation, where they don't lift a finger to secure those rights. They're riding on the coattails and on the shoulders of those who are activists. And that's why we have the president we have. It's why we have the debt we have. It's why we have the criminal abuse of power throughout the government and bureaucracies that we have, because we, the people, lost our soul shortly after World War II, and we didn't participate in this experiment in self-government anymore. So, Yvonne, always smile, be firm and polite, but be relentless. We need to educate these people. We need to sign them up into NRA memberships, and we need to conveniently leave our NRA magazines in the bathroom at work and at the coffee counter at work, and those people will read them. And when they read The Armed Citizen, they will realize eventually, as so many people have communicated to me, Cam, that when they finally realize that Katie Couric and the mainstream media will not share with the American public the numbers of times that armed citizens stop crime and save innocent lives is a tragedy, the shortcomings of the media in not reporting this. So never give up. Sign up those NRA members. Loan your magazines to people. Bring the subject up. Don't wait for a gun situation or a gun report in the media to talk about guns. Talk about gun ownership. Talk about the shooting sports fun. Talk about the activities that your family enjoys, the discipline of aim small, miss small, the joys of the shooting sports, and the life and death issue of being armed and prepared versus being unarmed and helpless. We can do it. We are doing it, but we do need to turn up the heat.
Amen. All right, back to the phones we go here at 1-866-NRA News, 866-672-6397. Mark in Tinley Park, Illinois, has been patiently hanging on. How you doing, Mark?
Hello, Mark.
Hi, Cam. Hi, Ted. Ted, I'm wondering, have you ever considered, and I know you're a big fan of the 10 millimeter, have you ever tried to get one of the gun manufacturers to make a carbine in 10 millimeter?
Well, Mark, are you sitting down?
No, but...
Well, you might want to sit down because Uncle Ted's got a variation of a carbine. I have an MP5 full automatic in 10 millimeter, which I'd like to think of as an Uncle Ted carbine. But no, I take your point to heart, Mark. I am a 10 millimeter fan. By the way, greetings to all my blood brothers there in Tinley Park, Illinois, land of Freddie Bear Sports. Freddie Luker, one of the great respected bow hunters and archery gurus of the world. If you have a chance, Mark, go by Freddie Bear Sports there in Tinley Park and say hi to Fred.
I've been in there.
He's a good man. But, yes, you got a point there. I had a great conversation with Cam and Bob Morrison, the CEO of Taurus. And remember, Cam, when Bob promised me that he was going to make a 10-millimeter 1911 at Taurus for me, like Springfield did, and like there's so many different manufacturers make them. I got a Wilson Combat 10-millimeter that's a genuine 100-yard sniper gun. My Kimber 10-millimeter is a 100-yard sniper pistol. My Colt Delta Elite, my Glocks. My son Toby and I, and we got this on film, Cam and Mark, even though I am going to push for a 10-millimeter carbine, with my daily carry Glock, we're shooting at I think a 14-inch human silhouette steel plate at 120 yards, and I hit it 9 out of 10 times just sitting in the Polaris using a rifle case for a rest, using double tap 180 grain ammo. And the point is the 10-millimeter round is super accurate ballistically coefficient pistol round. And I think Mark's got a good point. It would probably make a wonderful carbine round. Then you could have the carbine and your sidearm carrying the same ammo, and that's always a benefit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, Mark, thanks very much for calling in tonight.
And,
sir.
Mark, we are all praying for Illinois that someday you'll get a Second Amendment.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Oh, and by the way, Mark.
I just hung up on Mark. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all. I'm sure Mark's listening, but there's another point to be made, Cam. Obviously the NRA is the mothership for freedom and Second Amendment rights. But I would like to take this point, and as I do every week on Cam and Company, I want to thank Larry Potterfield and everybody, his family at Midway USA. I don't think every member of the NRA really realizes the kind of financial generosity and incredible support from Larry Potterfield and his family, so a salute to them. They give millions and millions of dollars to the NRA and the different arms to fight for Second Amendment rights. But in the state of Illinois, the Illinois State Rifle Association, talking about having your work cut out for you, they do God's work in Illinois, and I hope our listeners are not just members of the NRA, but if you live in Illinois where you don't have a Second Amendment, you can't keep or bear squat, because keep means it's mine, you can't have it, and bear means, yes, I have some on me. So I hope everybody supports their state firearms organization here in Texas. The Texas Rifle Association does incredible work, but God, talking about an obstacle course from hell in Illinois, just trying to get your basic Second Amendment rights. Godspeed to the Illinois State Rifle Association.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, we're going to take another time out. NRA meetings of the members. And Ted, are you excited? Are you ready?
Yeah, it's going to be a great event, and I can't emphasize enough how important it is that anybody who can possibly take the time to join us in Pittsburgh for the 140th annual NRA Get Down. It's an event you'll never forget. I'm sure everyone listening right now is smiling and nodding their heads because we have been setting attendance records now for about a dozen years. And I couldn't be more proud to be a part of it. I put on a seminar and I'll do a fundraising event, a book signing, most of the day Saturday, and then again Sunday after my speaking presentation. But the NRA Annuals, it's one of the greatest family activities you could ever partake in. And those of us that love to fondle hardware and see all the newest hunting and shooting supplies and gear, it is really the greatest event of all. So I hope everybody makes it a point to join us in Pittsburgh. I'll be there for 3 or 4 days at least. And I'd like to take this moment out, too, once again, Cam, to thank Wayne LaPierre and Chris Cox and you and all the members, the board members of the NRA. These men and women work constantly behind the scenes throughout the year fighting for our rights, and I salute each and every one of them.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to the phones here, 1-866-NRA News. 866-672-6397, and talk to Ken out in California. Ken, good evening, sir.
Greetings, Ken.
Hey, how you doing, Ted?
Great, man. Happy springtime, too. You killed a turkey out there yet?
No, I'm actually from Alabama. I just happen to be misfortunate enough to be stuck in liberal hell right
Boy, it's a little crazy out there, isn't it?
No, I'm telling you. You mentioned NRA out here, and they haven't a fight.
Well, I got to tell you, Ken, you're out there in California. The NRA is the driving force for gun rights, but boy, we got Sam Paradis and H.L. Richardson and Tim and the guys up there, gun owners of California. They are constantly locked in hand-to-hand combat with anti-gunners and anti-American freaks in the state of California, so a salute to them.
Definitely. Hey, my question, I got a couple of them. My question is, who are you looking at for president? Is there anybody that really strikes you as the man for the job right now on the Republican side?
Colonel Allen West. Remember that name?
Colonel Allen West. I was looking at Allen West too. I really was.
He's a great man. I believe that if Colonel Allen West, it is Allen, right, Cam?
Yes, sir.
Colonel Allen West, every time I've seen the man speak, I feel unmovable truth and logic and common sense. I think every word, every gesture from this great American would pass the test of U.S. constitutionality. I would like us to communicate with our family and friends. I don't know if Colonel Allen West is going to run or not. But if I had to pick a human being that could get America back on track to the American way, it would be the great Colonel Allen West.
All right, 44 after the hour here in the, in the comments at our Facebook page. Justin says, Uncle Ted, I met you at the Hunting and Wildlife Expo out in Austin, Texas, back when I was in the 5th or 6th grade. I can see by the goatee that Justin is a couple of years older anyway. My dad got me out of school long ago to come and meet you. You are awesome and down to earth. Do you think Obama has anything up his sleeves?
Well, Justin, good hearing from you. Yeah, I get to meet a lot of folks, and I've been doing this a long time, Cam, so I've got some great relationships out there with people for many, many years now. Thank you to all of them. Barack Obama cannot be trusted. He is the master of smoke and mirrors. I don't think he has anything up his sleeve. I think if you just pay attention to his words and his deeds, most notably his deeds, his actual actions and conduct, you will see that the man is viciously anti-American. He's viciously anti-freedom. He's viciously anti-Constitution. He's viciously anti-Bill of Rights. He's pro-communist, pro-socialist. He would rather get into bed with monsters, the dictators in Africa, and just evil, rotten people in the United Nations than he would align himself with the good people of America. Yes, we have to watch this man, but most importantly, we have to communicate with our elected officials and identify the violations of the U.S. Constitution, the violations of goodwill and decency and common sense and truth and logic that the President of the United States is constantly guilty of. And we need to alert our elected officials and get this man out of office as soon as possible. I still believe what I said on Anderson Cooper 3 nights in a row here, I think it was just last month, that they have demonized anyone who asks the legitimate question, show me proof that you were an American-born citizen. Now, Cam, if I was running for an office at the local dog pound or in any activity or any function, and part of the requirement was to show proof of my birthplace, I'd show it. I'd get every document out there right out in the open. I'd make copies of it. I'd make sure I wallpaper and carpet bomb every inquiring human so that there would be no more questions. And if you really examine what the President of the United States, what Barack Hussein Obama has done, the length that he has gone, the effort that he has put forth, the tens of millions of dollars that the President and his cronies have spent hiding his actual birth certificate, how can you not question this? And if he turns out to not be a legitimate president, he should be tried and convicted for treason.
All right, 1-866-NRA News, 866-672-6397 is the number to call. Ron is in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. How you doing, Ron?
Greetings, Ron.
Hey, doing good here. Hey, Ted, you were talking about 10-millimeter carbines. If you look up a company by the name of MECTech, MECTech, they make a carbine barrel assemble that all you do is take a 45 lower unit and mount it right in it, and they have barrels available in 45 ACP, 10 millimeter, 9 millimeter, 40 Smith & Wesson, and 38 Super, and 460 Roland.
Wow.
Now, I've got it in 45. It is just a sweet little machine.
That sounds wonderful. Now, once again, Ron, let's clarify. Is it net like N-E-T-T-E-C-K?
It's MECHTECH.
Gotcha.
MECTech.
MECTech Systems.
Well, that's very interesting. I'm going to have to look into that. Thank you for that.
I've also got their 10 millimeter. I haven't built it up yet, but they have a sweet system, and it's relatively inexpensive, requires no FFL licensing, because all you're buying is the barrel assembly.
That sounds wonderful. Great information, Ron. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Give it a try.
Hey, Ron, thank you so much, sir, for the phone call tonight.
That's interesting. Cam, I'd like to think, though, I've got a couple of great Henry repeating arms. I know Henry Repeating Arms is one of the sponsors of this great program.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to have a lever action in 10 millimeters. So I'm just wondering out loud here, maybe there's some lever action manufacturer out there. One of the greatest things, you carry 4440 or 44 Magnum with 357 in your sidearm and your lever action carbine. That's a great convenience and combination. I would like to think that there's some loving, creative, adventurous lever action firearms manufacturer out there that would love to build a 10 millimeter carbine.
Yeah,
just a thought.
Yeah, next time I talk with Anthony Imperato from Henry, I'll ask him if.
Yeah, be sure. In fact, when we get to Pittsburgh at the NRA convention, let's get together with Anthony. I'd love to sit down with him. I met him once before, and again, I've done some product tests with the Henry Repeating Arms and featured them on Uncle Ted's Favorite Guns on the Outdoor Channel. I would like to sit down with him because, boy, that'd be a great combination: a lever action, high capacity 10 mm, and a handgun. Perfect combination.
No kidding. Hey, coming up here in 10 minutes, we're going to be talking with Wayne LaPierre, NRA's Executive Vice President and CEO, about this nonsense story in the Dallas Morning News over the weekend. Right now, back to the phones at 1-866-NRA News, 866-672-6397. John is in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. How you doing, John?
Greetings, John.
Great. Thanks for calling in, sir.
Not a problem. What Mr. Nugent was saying about Obama having to prove that he's a U.S. citizen for presidency. In New Mexico, you have to be a U.S. citizen to get a CCW. I'm a permanent resident, and I can't get my CCW here because I'm not a U.S. citizen. So what's the difference of me having to prove I'm a U.S. citizen for my CCW? So Obama have to prove he's a U.S. citizen for president.
John, you're talking much too logical for America 2011, but it's a breath of fresh air, and that's the common sense that's alive and well across this country, and that's our point exactly. Thanks for that parallel.
Absolutely. And you know, John, it's interesting. There was a bill, I believe, in I think it was South Dakota earlier this year that actually this same issue came up, and I believe that here we go. House Bill 1149, bill provides that a legal South Dakota resident can obtain a concealed pistol permit. Legislation cleared up a state law that restricted concealed pistol permits to citizens only, and the issue was brought to the attention of lawmakers after the state was sued by a legal U.S. resident and British national who was denied a permit. So, you know, you may even want to approach this with your local lawmaker, John, and say, hey, South Dakota took care of this. We've got the same issue here.
I already have. I've emailed the new governor, Susana Martinez, about it, and I'm hoping for her to get back to me about it.
Well, good for you, John, for being proactive.
Good man, John. Salute to you.
Absolutely. John, thank you again, sir, for calling in. It's always good talking to you tonight. 51 after the hour, just a couple of more minutes with Mr. Nugent here. Let's see. In the talkbacks, George in Winchester, Kentucky says, Cam, I bought my buddy an NRA membership. He received it this weekend. Just curious, do you know if we, the NRA, have passed the 4 million member mark yet? I believe we have, George, but Ted, you're not satisfied with a mere 4 million, are you?
No, I'm a dreamer.
I have a dream, and my dream is that since there's in excess of 100 million gun owners of America, and I don't believe the 75, 85 million number. I believe that if there's not 100 million gun owners in America, there's 250 million gun owners in America. I really believe that, Cam. And the fact that there's only 4 million, maybe when we hit the 5 million mark on occasion, that's nothing to get excited about. I would like to see the NRA a good 20 to 30 million members strong, and I hope everyone listening right now to Cam and Company on NRA News, I hope you realize what would happen if just 10% of the gun owners in this country were members of the NRA. There would be no Harry Reids. There would be no Nancy Pelosi's. Barack Obama would have never made it this far because Chicago politics would go the way of the dodo bird, because the real activists of we the people in the United States of America have always been led by NRA members. And if we had a proper number of NRA members, I believe that we get our Second Amendment back real fast.
I think you're right. Well, Ted, again, sir, I appreciate you coming on the program tonight. Have a great week. You going to be in rehearsals all week?
Yeah, we're making music that scares me, and I'm not afraid of nothing. Give Wayne LaPierre a big salute from the Nugent family. Wish him Godspeed and tell him thank you for all the hard work that he and Chris Cox and everybody there at NRA is doing. And Cam, same to you, my friend. I look forward to seeing you next Monday, and I'll see you in Pittsburgh real soon.
Yes, sir. Ted Nugent joining us tonight, and Ted will be with us again next Monday as well. Ted, have a great week, sir. We'll talk to you 1 week from tonight.